Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. And from the title, you guys can already assume what happened, but yep, I got rejected by another job, so it's whatever. At this point, I'm used to it. So, in today's stream, I'm just going to do some more work on my Zhang Li art. I do think that he's a bit too yellowish, maybe. So, I may go over and add like some slight toning to his model. I actually need to do his eyes real quick. Sorry for the late start. I was just reading some emails, and that's how I learned that I was rejected from another job. And honestly, it's just crazy. Like, what is this world coming to where you apply to job after job after job and not get anything? Hmm. Now I just need to do the eyes. But yeah, I got rejected by two more jobs. One was earlier this morning. That's why I'm a bit late to the stream. And then the other one was yesterday. So earlier in the stream, I mean, like, not earlier in the stream, but like earlier in the week, I was talking about this job I applied for. It was a teaching artist position, and I got rejected from that. The strangest thing is that I had emailed them maybe two or three times saying like, "Hey, what's the status?" I even physically called into the place, and it was like literally 40 minutes after I emailed them, they rejected me. And like when I went to email them and say, "Hey, could I ask for feedback or like why was I rejected?" They just ghosted me and haven't said anything since. And then there are many places that have rejected me. It's like it doesn't make any sense. At this point, it doesn't make any sense. Like there is no sense to glean from what is happening right now. And like I'm not gonna hide the fact that I'm depressed because I am depressed. Like this constant rejection is weighing on my soul right now. Like there's no way you can't. But I do still have faith. Like, that's the one thing that's keeping me going is the fact that I have faith and the fact that I'm still trying and I'm still applying to different jobs and positions despite everything. But I will say it's gotten to the point where I don't know what to do. And what I mean by that is, I could start my own animation studio right now. The only issue is that things have not aligned themselves for me to properly start my own animation channel. I could work for the state, but the state takes too long to reply to emails and get feedback. And like I said, the teaching artist position that I applied for was a state job, so that rejected me. I try to go into the private sector and I get rejected there. I go to temp solutions, like I try to do temp work and I mass apply to different positions there, but I either don't hear back, and that's just the thing, I just don't hear back from them. So it's like, what am I to do? Because the worst thing I can do is start my animation studio and I don't have any social clout. I don't have that many followers. Like, I don't have really anything to me at the moment. So if I do start my own animation studio, then, well, how am I going to get it off the ground? How am I going to start projects? How am I going to get funding if I don't have any social backing or any capital to speak of? So it's almost like I'm in a catch 22 where feasibly, yes, I could do anything. I could do anything. I could go anywhere I wanted to. I could set up anything I wanted. But if I do, and I do that before my time, then nothing good will happen for me. And it's like, it's come to a point where it just feels like the system is broken. Because I was talking about this with my friend, but it's like, it was pushed to have a college degree. It was pushed that in order to get anywhere, like, young folks need to go to college and they need to find a job that they love and that they care about because that's what they're going to be doing for four or five, for like 4, 5, 6 decades. And so I got my degree now. You guys told me to get my degree. And it's like now, well, we don't take degrees anymore. It's all about experience. Even though my degree is my experience. So I think many people in my age range and bracket are more so like, okay, well, what do we do now? Like, you told us to do this, we did what you asked us to. What are we supposed to do now? And the only answer we get is try harder or lift yourself up by your bootstraps. And honestly, I'm getting sick and tired of that whole pick yourself up by your bootstraps narrative because at this point at this point we have been. And that's why I take the stance I do, that we just need to get these geriatric old people out of office, because at this point they're really not helping us. Like, I hate to be that guy, but these people are causing more issues than they're claiming to fix. Yes, I was born in a Christian family. Southern Baptist. Born and raised Southern Baptist. I grew up in Raleigh, so I've been here my whole life. So essentially, went to school here, graduated from high school, went to college, got my bachelor's degree, and then sort of after that, I've been looking for work. I've been looking for both national and international work and local work. I've applied to different studios in California, got rejected from them. I've applied to different like gaming companies and game design studios, got rejected from them. So then I said, okay, that's not working. Well, let me find something locally. Like I've applied to different jobs in my local sector, either like community jobs, like event coordinators or staffing for events, my arts center, the different parks and recreation. I'm getting rejected from them as well. Just everything, really. And I have a good resume. Like, I'm a college graduate. I graduated in 4 years. I graduated from high school with a 3.6 GPA, graduated from college with a 3.5 GPA, 4 year college bachelor's degree, and for the life of me, no one wants to hire me. I do community service. I'm active in many different community events. I've been to my park, been to local festivals. I do community service. I have my YouTube channel, which has 369 subscribers. And like I even put that on my resume. I have my art that I do. I'm working on my own original series. At least I consider myself a fairly well-rounded person. I work in retail right now, so I've been able to network with a few people here and there. So it's sort of like, how do I put it? It feels like what I'm experiencing doesn't make sense. It, if I were to put it into words, like, I actually had a perfect analogy. Mm. I had a perfect analogy earlier, but essentially it feels like, I'm doing what everyone has told me to do. I have a well rounded network. I have a job. I have a savings account. I'm in the stock market. I network with people. I go to different events. I have my social media. I continue to work on my portfolio. I have personal projects I'm working on. Pretty much, I'm doing what everyone has told me to do, and I'm doing essentially everything. Is what I'm trying to say. But despite that, I'm still not finding success anywhere. I have an Upwork account. Nobody's wanted freelance work. I have a Angie's List account. Nobody wants freelance work. I have, what's the other one? not Upwork, but Fiverr. No one's hit me up on Fiverr. I have my YouTube channel, and I'm very thankful for it. But I've been going at it for 3 years, and I'm just now breaking like 369 subscribers. Partially because I don't follow like fads or hot topics. I just live stream, do my art, and sort of do my own thing. Like I don't really try to rely on, following clout or like clout chasing in that vein. I have my bachelor's degree. Not many people have bachelor's degrees. I'm I help around in my church. Not many people are in a church community setting. I do volunteer work. Not many people do that. I'm active on social media. I promote different restaurants and art galleries. Not many people do that. It's like I'm throwing everything at the wall, and I at least consider myself a well rounded person. But despite all of that, nothing is working, and I've tried everything. And the one thing that I could try, which is going solo, which is starting my own animation studio, which is starting my own company, I could very well do that. But because I am in the situation where I'm at right now, I do not want to go that route of starting my own business because I've already been through I'm a man of faith. I'm a believer of God. And I do believe that there are times and seasons and there are certain criteria one has to meet before God is ready to move you to your next season or to your next era or phase. So everything is pushing me to go independent, to start my own business. The only issue is that I haven't seen things align up. I haven't had my sign yet to say, okay, now it's time to go independent. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get out of the situation that I'm in right now. I'm trying to get a better job. I'm trying to get an entry level position or to get a sort of what's it called, experience in my field a bit more and become more comfortable before I go gung ho in and start my own business. Does that make sense? Like what I'm trying to do, what I have planned, does that make sense? Like despite everything showing me and telling me to go into something, I want to wait until I'm ready. I want to wait till I get my sign. And what's wild is I know I'm not the only one who's going through this. And what I mean by that is there is a entire generation of men and women who have degrees just like me, who are trying to find work just like me, who have been told to do XYZ, and despite that, they're not finding any success. Rent is is like $1,600. Food food is like $500 a month, so on and so forth. Exactly. That's what I'm going through, trying to save up, trying to do something because I can't just lie here and do nothing. Like that's the big thing I want to avoid. And really, the only thing that's kept me going is my faith, because I feel like I would have given into despair a long time ago. It would be a 2D animation studio where I create my own shows and content. I'd have a team of different animators, and we'd all make different shows because I do have plans to make my own show. It is a science fantasy that actually draws quite a lot of inspiration from the Bible. So, like the Book of Enoch, the Book of Revelation, so on and so forth. Those are sort of like big inspirations I have. And it would be a combination of both freelance and private projects. The bulk of it would be original content that we create, but you will be able to like license out the company to work on any. And you see, there are so many different creative people who just need a shot and just need a chance. Because personally speaking, I am a firm believer that greatness can come from anybody and can come from anywhere. You just need to take a chance on it. But the only issue is that nowadays no one wants to take a chance. Like that's the really horrible part is nobody's taking a chance on anybody. And that's personally why I grew in my faith is because, despite nobody taking a chance on me, I know that at least God will. Like that's the crazy part is exactly like there is so much bad content, and then the content that's good, it gets canceled. Like Raya and the Last Dragon had a chance to be good, but like the storytelling is just let's just call it what it is. And then people who are actually new to the industry, nobody's taking a chance on them. So it's like, okay, your stuff is terrible, or like that people want to redo your stuff. Like even Disney's Wish, like people say that was terrible. it just doesn't make sense to me. So like I feel like I'm justified in my reasoning that, oh, it feels like we don't live in reality. Because how can you have an entire generation of people who want to work, who want the chance to make a name for themselves, who want to, be a writer or be an artist or make original content or has amazing ideas for things, and then you're not even giving them the chance to prove themselves. Like you need to have 4, 5, 6 years of experience, but you want to pay people with those many years of experience like pennies on the dollar. It's just a spirit of greed. That's really all I can call it. Is a spirit of greed, and honestly, this is gonna be my religion. This is gonna be my religion coming out. But you can't keep doing all of this negative stuff, all of this rejection, all of this love and greed for money, and then expect a good result. Like I'm sorry, but that's not how the world works. Like there is going to be a counterbalance that eventually comes. And you see, that's why I love Genshin Impact so much, is because of my religion, because of my beliefs. Like, I believe that God can be found in anything. Like, even in my like the Venti video that I did, the Venti speed paint I did was like a first in a series of 7 where I go over the different archons of Genshin Impact and I sort of relate them back to Christianity, because there is a lot of parallel between the archons and the Bible, because Genshin Impact actually takes inspiration primarily from the Lesser Key of Solomon and sort of what's it called, Gnosticism. That like Gnosticism is the primary inspiration, but like many of the different archons do get their names from demons from the Lesser Key of Solomon. But what I like about Genshin Impact is how it reminds me of God, and how like Venti's ideal of freedom reminds me of God's gift of free will to mankind, and how Zhongli and his contracts, being the god of contracts, he relates to the different promises that God has made, and how A and her ideal of eternity also relates back to God's sense of eternity, how God is the beginning and the end, how his machinations and his plans are so far along ahead and so well thought out that we as humans can't really understand it until it happens. Nahida and her wisdom, and like Nahida is the most loving, nicest archon. She is a good example of like God's love. And then Farina is literally just Jesus. Like there's really no better comparison. Farina is literally Jesus. Like she like a Focalor executed herself. Like Farina has 3 close friends, a lot like how Jesus had, I believe it was, and Jesus had his 3 fishermen. Um, Aether is essentially Judas, like how we betray Farina. Like there was this whole other analysis video that goes over that. Expectations for Natland. So I will say that since Sumeru was heavily inspired by the Middle East, I am expecting Natland to be this mesh of Middle Eastern and South American sort of inspirations. Because I believe either somewhere in lore or maybe it was leaked that Natland is on the other side of the Sumeru Desert. So, what I would like to see is almost this touching on, at least, of it could have like slight inspirations from from Egypt because of that connection to the desert, but with more sort of concentration on, I want to say, ancient Aztec, like the Aztecs and the Mayans. And sadly, I haven't done much research on the Aztecs and the Mayans, but I do believe that it is kind of strange and interesting how the Mayan pyramids are very similar to the Egyptian ones. So perhaps there's a connection there that Genshin Impact can sort of touch on. Now, when it comes to the ideal of war, I do think that as it relates to the Bible, it would definitely be, it could definitely harken back to sort of God's judgment because God is always casting judgment. Like he's always shooting pillars of fire from the heavens and casting down sinners and dissenters and peoples whose sins sort of give in unto themselves to where there must be consequence. Because I do believe that, yes, because I do believe that there is this aspect and this idea of tribes and tribalism in that land. So you have sort of like, let me actually look it up real quick. Yeah, Natland is inspired by pre Columbian Latin America and some Western African cultures. Oh, yes, here's the lore that I was looking up, the talking stick. Let's see. As Tenok gazed upon vast burning plains, a turbid black tide welled up from the horizon. He blew his bronze horn and raised his colossal obsidian club to his shoulder. The crisis emerges, yet the tribal leaders bicker endlessly. Let Tenok bring his talking stick over and let it mediate the discussion. Tenach belongs no longer to any tribe, and his fury still burns unquenched. With his colossal sitting club resting on his shoulder, traversing the rugged wilds where dragons roam, that wilderness of hot springs and lava. My first came forward. Kayak, her dark skin travel. The two hosts wanted to speak with him. He found him carefully counting the multitude of scars left on his body by challengers. Uh, Ooh, yeah, this is actually very interesting. So, The Talking Stick is basically a story about a man named Tenok who is from a tribe from that land and how they are going to. I just skimmed it, but I believe that there is a cataclysm occurring, and so Tenok goes to the different major tribes of what is now known as Natland, and he takes two warriors from each tribe. So it's Tenok who had no clan, and then it's two from each tribe, which he got two members from each of the six major tribes. So that sort of and so what I'm thinking of, it kind of reminds me of the 12 tribes of Israel, which is actually something very interesting to think about as well as to process because in Christianity, there are 12 tribes of Israel, which are the sons of Joseph. And sort of Joseph's whole story is that he bought his birthright from his elder brother, and on top of that, he dressed up as his brother so that when his father was, I believe, either very sick or on his deathbed, he was able to steal or sort of get the spiritual blessings along with his elder brother's birthright. And so now in this story of the talking stick, I'm seeing parallels between Tenok, the two from each tribe, and then sort of the Tenok, the two from each tribe, and then the sort of 12 tribes of Israel. And so now I'm thinking, is Tenok the Jacob? And so could the sixth, could like the sixth tribe, or like the hero Tenok's greatest foe in his youth, the giant Tupac, could that have been? Could Tupac have been Judah? Is my question because in the Bible, Judah was the one who rescued or saved Jacob, not Jacob, saved Joseph from his brother's plots to kill him. And here I am talking about the Bible and thought, well, I mean, I feel like I can get away with that because Genshin Impact is heavily inspired by the Bible. And you see, that's what I love. That's what I really like is how you can glean and learn different things through storytelling. Because one of the downsides of the church is, and I'm just going to be upfront, like the church demonizes everything. That's really the sad part, is how the church just say, like, oh, that's satanic, you shouldn't question, so on and so forth. because in the early 90s there was this wave of satanic panic that said, "Oh, everything is demonic. Pokemon is demonic. D&D is demonic. XYZ, this is all evil stuff. Don't watch it." And because they called out everything, even SpongeBob didn't get a pass of being called demonic. That led to the flight from the Christian church, where in the late 90s, early 2000s, and even still in the 2010s, it led to a bunch of youth fleeing from the church. And because the youth fled from the church, now there's more debauchery, but it's sort of self-inflicted because the church was the one who pushed them away and demonized everything they liked and found interesting. And so now in the 2020s, there's a bunch of Christians saying like, "Oh, we need to get these young people in the church again," but like you can't really do that anymore because you were the ones who pushed them out of the church. I actually have not looked into that. Like I don't really know much about I really don't know much about like South American history. But I do like to read, so I would like the opportunity to further research into it and learn more about it. Maybe you could give me like the spark notes of what happened during that time. Fontaine setting the stage for colonization. I mean, yeah, I see it. Like how France, like how Fontaine is heavily inspired by France. And so essentially, how France and many other European nations have sort of divvied up and occupied Africa in order for like a bid and gambit under the guise of spreading Christianity. Even though historically many African nations did in fact have Hebrew as their language, which is definitely food for a future live stream. We don't have to go into that right now. Yeah, I would definitely say that the whole subduing of the sovereigns could tie to colonization as well. Because this is actually a topic that isn't talked about or hinted at often, but many different African countries actually already believed in God. Like they believed in a single earthly God. Like like their religion wasn't necessarily called Christianity. Now I know Ethiopia, they did have Christianity within them. Like one of the oldest existing Bibles is in Ethiopia. But there were many different African tribes who practiced oral histories, and they more so believed in one God, and many of their languages was Hebrew. Like they spoke Hebrew verbally. It's just a few of them didn't have a written history. So under this gambit and guise of spreading Christianity, in reality they just wanted to they were just out for the resources. I think there is going to be a split because we did get confirmation that dragons are a race in and of themselves in that land. Like there are bipedal dragons or like dragon humanoids in that land. So I do think that there is going to be sort of that dichotomy or that split religion. And that's another thing, like how Sumeru worshipped Desh, how in Sumeru the desert folk worshipped Deshret, whereas the people in the city worshipped Nahida, or at least Rukadavada, before the whole Irminsul rewriting. even in present day Mexico, they have their own brand of Christianity. I thought that many Christians in Mexico and in South America were Catholic. Or maybe is it like a new subsect that stems from Catholicism? Like I forgot the specific, because I know that there are actually many different um, subsects of Christianity. I just forgot which one South America followed. Folk Catholicism. Hmm. I've never heard of folk Catholicism. I mean, the major point of Christianity is that you believe in one God with three natures. Catholicism more so believes in Catholicism believes that the Pope or the Church has more power than the Word of God, whereas Protestants believe that the Word has more power than the Church. That's sort of like the biggest and easiest distinction between the two. But even in that, there are different schools. Like there are Southern Baptists who believe that you have a closer relationship to God, and so your forgiveness of sin is tied to your acceptance of God within yourself. There are also there's also a subsect of Christianity where there are more so Christian scholars, not technically Christian scientists, but they have like big libraries and they try to mesh science and the understanding of the world with their faith. It's sort of hard to explain, but like they are big book collectors and they often have libraries within their churches. Exactly, that's the thing. Different practices, same God, different word tenant. I mean, not different. Same word and tenant, same God, same belief, different practices. Now, when it comes to me, I am more so of the belief that God is in everything. You just have to look. And what I mean by that is parable, analogy, symbolism, and metaphor. They are all literary tools and storytelling tools that both God and Jesus themselves have used in order to push their messages, push their tenets, and push their stories and values across. And so, what I mean by that is Jesus was a storyteller. God spoke in parable and story. God used different examples to teach his people. But the issue that we run into now is that the modern day church believes that entertainment is automatically of the devil. Like, there are no good cartoons, there is no good storytelling. Everything is demonic of the devil. Pokemon are like actual demons. What else do they think? D&D, a game where you like play fantasy and you pretend to be a wizard or pretend to be a elf archer. That's automatically satanic and of the devil. So on and so forth. But because I know that Jesus used parable and that God has used parable, we should not be so quick to see the devil in things. I believe that modern day Christians fear the devil more than they love God. And because they fear the devil so much, they are closing their minds and their hearts to things that could potentially bring them closer to God, like Genshin Impact. There was this whole video on YouTube of talking about the sustainer of heavenly principle, talking about Asmodee, who is a character in Genshin Impact who I believe is the demon name of the sustainer of heavenly principles. And they just go off on a tirade and talk about how Genshin Impact is of the devil. But what they don't realize is that despite Genshin Impact using the word God so loosely, the different archons and the different lesser divinities of Teyvat are more so akin to, say, angels than they are to actual gods or to actual demons. That's why they have demon names from the Archgalation. Like, the seven archons are more so like principalities or powers, because in the Christian hierarchy, like, there are different levels like seraphim, cherubs, principalities, powers, and these different hierarchies of angel rule over either specific people or specific locations. So that's why, at least in my mind, the archons are called gods by regular people, but in actuality, they're more so akin to principalities. Does that make sense? And so, and it's primarily the old guard Christians, and I've even taken to calling them old guard Christians, which are essentially those, I want to say, 40, 40-year old and above Christians who are from that satanic panic era. So it's those old guard Christians, those age 40 and above Christians who are quick to call everything demonic. Whereas it's the younger generation who is, I don't want to say lenient because it's not about being lenient. It's more so about having a greater understanding and seeking God than it is about being lenient. Because the Bible says nothing about being lenient. But I will say, and to circle it back, or to not really circle it back, but to take a reprieve from my statements, taking a step back in media, Narnia is heavily inspired by Christianity. Lord of the Rings is also heavily inspired by Christianity. But because old guard Christians have such dogmatic views, and because they're quick to call everything demonic and satanic, they close their hearts and they close their minds to the biblical inspirations of stories and storytelling. They see the White Witch in Aslan, and they say oh, it's a talking lion. Oh, it's a witch. They're evil. They're demons. It's of the devil. Don't watch it. They see the they see Gandalf, they see Sauron, and they say like, "Oh, it's a wizard. Oh, it's a evil warrior." So don't watch it. It's demonic. But when you actually look into Narnia, Aslan from Narnia is literally Jesus. Okay, Jesus was literally called the Lion of Judah. Like that is his nickname. That is one of his many names that Jesus has garnered in his time alive. And so for you as a Christian to just look at Narnia and say, "Oh, it's demonic. Oh, it's the devil. Don't watch it." That says more about you and how you fear the devil more than you love God. Because you cannot see a C.S. Lewis story, see a man who is a devout Christian, who is a believer of God, and immediately call his work demonic and tell people not to watch it. Because yes, while there is a spiritual realm to things, and that is the truth, there is a spiritual realm. There are things carrying weight. I will constantly say that California is demonic. I will constantly say that. Like in California, you have to know somebody who knows somebody, or you need to be friends with somebody, or you have to play the game and be likable in order to get a job. And like you have entire generations of people moving to California because they were told like, "Oh, you'll make it big if you move to California." You got people doing things to kids, doing things to folks. There's like a bunch of debauchery that goes on in California. I will stay on California's neck and call it a satanic evil place. And the fact that it's falling right now is divine judgment. I ain't got to say no more. Yes, there is a spirit to things. Yes, there is a spirit to music and there is a spirit to TV. But just because there's a spirit to things does not mean that everything is satanic and of the devil. Because just like if you look and you can find the devil, you can also look and you can find God. So, and I'm gonna just be straight up. Until God Himself comes down and says, "Don't watch Genshin Impact because it's evil," I will defend Genshin Impact because the storytelling, the crafting, the character themes, the inspirations, Genshin Impact is the reason why I got back into Christianity. I'm just gonna be 100. Like Genshin Impact is the reason why I'm a more devout follower than ever. Because I was able to see these characters that are called gods. I was able to see these characters that are called divinities and powers and how they operate and how their ideals sort of work and function in the microcosm of this world has helped me appreciate God and read my Bible more. And that's why I'm so gung ho about working on this speed paint series because, one moment, please. I was talking to my mom. We're going on a cruise, so more than likely there may not be a Friday stream, but if I feel like it, I'll probably do like either a late night Wednesday stream or a late night Thursday stream. But what was I saying? Oh yes, I will always be on Genshin Impact's side because that's the whole reason why I started this speed paint series to begin with, because I wanted to share what I see and what brought me closer to God. Because there's a lot of potential, it's just nobody is seeing it. Nobody's taking a chance on it. I'm looking at his chair now because while I'm able to find plenty of frontal views, I can't find many side or like bottom up views of his throne, so I don't have a good understanding of the back of it. And that's the wild thing is like there's so much art of like Zhang Li sitting, and like I mean they do his chest pretty good, and like they got his sitting position down pat, but they don't have his chair. I mean, make that make sense to me, but I mean, hey, I'm just the artist, okay? I mean, I think that's pretty good. Now I just need to color the cube in his hand, give his eyes some tone, and then do some shading, and then I'll be done with it. Oh wow, it's already 11:44. I actually have work. So, this was a nice chat, guys. It was nice talking to you all. I sort of just ranted and raved and went off about life, but that's really what we do here. So, this is my sit and chill series. It's where we sit down. I usually start at around 10 o'clock, go on for like an hour, hour and a half. On Fridays, it's longer because Fridays are my day off. So, I don't go to work that day, so I usually go for like 2.5, maybe 3 hours on Fridays. That's gonna change, so Thursday I'll likely do a night stream. But I do hope you all enjoy. I didn't really talk about much. I just drew and ranted about getting rejected from a job. But hey, such is life. I'm probably going to apply to maybe 12 more jobs after this. And hopefully I get something. Like, that's the one thing that's keeping me going is the fact that it's literally impossible to try so hard and have nothing to show for yourself. So eventually down the line, something is going to happen. I just need to have faith and be patient and work as well. But next week I will be going on a cruise, so I likely won't be streaming next Tuesday and next Friday. But I'll try to make like a sketchbook poster too and sort of share like a design. If I don't have this speed paint up by I want to say Thursday, then expect it to be done the week after next. And I do hope you all enjoyed yourself. So a few things to go over real quick before I leave. Road to 500. Once I reach 500 subscribers, I'll do a extra long live stream, likely 4 or 5 hours long. Road to 1,000. Once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll do a special Q&A where you guys can leave down questions and I'll answer them for you. But all in all, I do hope you guys enjoyed and definitely rewatch this stream or my past streams, or rewatch some of my speed paints or past videos that I've done in the past live streams. If I stutter, it's because I have Invisalign, so like I'm getting my teeth, looking nice and beautiful for you all. So eventually I'll have like a webcam video maybe. But that's about it. I gotta go now. If you all enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share even. Have faith out there. And yeah, keep praying, keep doing what you're doing. This has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art, and I'll see you guys in my next video or live stream. Bye.